we will go on to the combat tutorials now. I already know how to play the game, but this is maybe going to act as a guide for those of you who are watching this to see, hey, do I want to buy this game? Just to show you how everything works, you know. And also, it's always nice to have a refresher. It's been a hot second since I've played, at least as Noctis. I've played a couple of the DLC and getting footage for the guides, to the optional bosses. Oh, Christ, I've played so much fucking DLC. Alright, defending. Gotta lock onto my boy there. First, let's practice defending. Okay, so you hold the... Alright, before we start anything, I just want to throw out there, something a lot of new players get confused on is what that square button with the arrow on top of it means. And that does not mean you press the button. That means you should hold down the button. A lot of people get messed up, especially when summons come into play. They see this little prompt that says summon, and it says to hold down left trigger, and they're over there hammering away at left trigger, pressing it as many times as they can, and not understanding why they're not summoning. And it's because that little arrow means the game wants you to hold down the button. And if you hold down the square button, you phase, which basically is just an auto dodge while you're holding down square. It's kind of iffy on when it works, but I'm still not sure if that's human error on my part or if that's an error on the game's part. The key is to defend slightly ahead of time. Yeah, so, like that. Nice work. Wait, nice work! Let's practice a little more. Right, Carbuncle, if you want. And, oh, yeah, that's wait mode. I forgot I had that on. We will talk about that momentarily. For the moment, just don't worry about it. Right, now it's my turn to strike. You hold down circle to blitz. Hold down circle to automatically chain attacks. Move the left stick while attacking to change the way the combo unfolds. So yeah, there's this interesting system in 15 where the direction in which you're holding the left stick changes the combo. And it's a little weird, but you quickly get used to it. It's a very strange system, and there's a little bit of an argument over whether holding down circle is really the superior way to fight. A lot of people say the superior way to fight is to tap circle to attack once, and then pause, and then attack again, and then pause, and then attack again. But I really stand firm in the idea that holding down circle is probably the best way to do this. So, yeah, strike a foe from behind to deliver a blind side for 50% more damage. Yeah, that's if you hit an enemy from behind, usually in a pretty specific spot, but it just depends from enemy to enemy how wide the angle is to be counted as behind them. You deal more damage, and there's items and weapons that deal more blind side damage, but for the moment it is 50% more damage. Also, if you hold down L1, R1, excuse me, then you will, lock on to an enemy. So like that. Alright, so we're gonna get behind Gladio, and we're gonna miss there because he turned around, which is unfortunate. So, alright, you know what, let's just go over the basics of combat. So, this is, currently I'm using a broadsword, and each weapon class has its own combos. Great swords, spears, guns all have their own combos. Guns not so much, but guns and machinery are a special case. Parry. Yeah, so occasionally, a big prompt will appear on the screen telling you to hold square to block. And then once you've blocked, you can counter with circle to deliver a really good counter strike. See, so like there, I did way more damage than I would have done otherwise. These are usually pretty easy to accomplish. Sometimes it's a little absurd. just because of the, just if there's a very large amount of enemies on screen, it's kind of difficult to block and parry the just massive amount of incoming attacks. Only specific attacks can be blocked and parried, by the way. Only attacks where that prompt comes up on screen can be blocked and parried. Normal attacks cannot. You'll just dodge. An intensive drill is available to help you hone your parrying skill. I'm good, actually. You might want to go through that. If you find yourself not very good at the system, because it can be a bit difficult to get the timing. You'd think it'd be really easy with the way that this combat works, but it isn't actually. So something that they didn't mention about phasing, that dodge thing, if you don't remember, is it costs MP. And if you look down in the lower right, you can see my health bar and my MP meter. MP is magic points, and it's used for a variety of actions, mostly phasing, warping, which we haven't gotten to yet, and using magic. Now, phasing will use up MP, as you see here, a pretty good chunk of it at the beginning, so you're not just going to be able to hold down square to win. Now, there are level ups, like skills, that you can take in the level up screen that will make phasing less MP intensive, or will negate it entirely if you time your phasing right. And those are actually very valuable skills, because MP regenerates slowly in combat and is used for some pretty powerful things like that we will see later. Alright, so something I'm gonna want to talk about now is the weight system. So there are two forms of combat in this game, and you can change what you're using in the settings menu. Weight and active. In weight mode, if you stop moving, the game freezes, letting you look around and really assess the situation, all that sort of stuff. And if you lock onto an enemy, well, before we talk about locking on in Libra, you're going to want to notice there's a wait timer, so you can't wait indefinitely. And the reason for that is because if you lock onto an enemy, that little circular gauge fills and you Libra them. And if you fully Libra an enemy, you get to see their stats as far as HP goes, and as far as weaknesses and strengths go. So those are in order. The weaknesses and strengths bar are in order: one-handed swords, two-handed swords, spears, daggers, guns, shields, machinery, fire, ice, lightning, and holy. Holy damage being a very rare type of damage. Usually demons are weak to holy. You will not find many sources of holy damage, save for the end game. Alright, yeah, but that's the main function of the weight mode, and I don't remember if they tutorialize it. If they do, I apologize for taking so much time on a mechanic that gets tutorialized later. Anyway, yeah, let's get to messing up Gladio here, shall we? Yeah, there we go, Gladi. Yeah, come over here. Come on. Out into the center area. Yeah, alright, yeah. So sometimes, if you hit someone in the middle of their combo, you can interrupt them out of an attack. That doesn't seem important now, but I promise, here, later in the game, and especially for the DLC bonus bosses, that becomes an incredibly important mechanic, especially for the DLC boss that Gladio here fights. You're going to be wanting to interrupt people's combos pretty often. So that's Gladi down. Wasn't too hard, what you'd expect for a tutorial fight. I got a garbage time score, but that's because I spent all this time here, recording and talking about shit. Alright, we could fight Gladio again. This is warping an MP, so, stuff I've already talked about, but I'm gonna go through it because, it's interesting to look through. Not really interesting just so much as I'd like to see how the game says it, because it's been about 100 hours in game since I've last looked at this. I played a lot. Alright, it's warping time. So, press triangle to blade warp, has the ability to instantly warp to where he throws his weapon. So it is a teleport, where you throw your sword. If you lock on to someone, and then press triangle, you can hit them with your warp. And this is actually a function, I'm not sure if it was here originally. If you press R3 while you're tracking someone, while you're locked onto someone, it actually tracks them without you needing to hold down the button. So yeah, that's a warp strike there. It does more damage the farther you are away from the person you're warp striking, which becomes a pretty important mechanic later on. Yeah, in addition to warp strike enemies, Noctis can also point warp to specific targets. R to the right stick to look around, and hold down triangle to point warp. So, like, we can point warp right there, and point warping will restore your HP and your MP pretty rapidly. And also, it gives you a really good position to lock on people and warp strike them from. Especially since it's far away, and it'll usually give you at least a ×2 damage modifier. Warping and phasing consume MP. This is the thing I talked about earlier. So a blue gauge above Noctis' head when he point warps, and that little gauge I showed you on the right. If he uses too much MP, you enter stasis, which severely limits your abilities. It prevents you from using any abilities that require MP other than point warping, and it makes Noctis occasionally stagger without being attacked, and he holds his head like he's having a migraine. And it does a couple other things, some of which are dependent on situations. You can also take cover behind objects by holding square to recover HP and MP. I don't use this mechanic very often because I don't like it very much. And you can then continue to hold the button to toggle between standing behind cover and sitting behind cover. Alright, there you go. Performing a point warp instantly restores all MP. That's not entirely true. Sometimes it takes a second. Try taking down Gladius with warp strikes alone. Shouldn't be too hard. Ow. Yeah, I don't need you talking to me during this, Carbuncle. This isn't a difficult fight by any fucking means. But also, it's just annoying to have a giant dialogue bar. But don't worry, there's actual voice acting. Only Carbuncle talks to you like that. Presumably because they didn't want to give him an actual voice. Actually, you know what? I think we will skip resistances. Okay, we won't skip resistances. I've already gone over this. I swore there was a way to skip through these tutorials without having to do them, but I was apparently mistaken. It might have been patched out, or I might just be wrong. Try hitting Gladio a bunch of times. So those purple numbers mean that, he's resistant to your attacks. I realize they're about to say this right now. See, my crit is 16, when earlier it was like 400. Yeah, orange is increased damage, while purple is reduced damage. Alright, so let's go into... I can't use wait mode right now, because they're trying to teach me this. Let's use my greatsword, which does normal damage, and my daggers, which also do normal damage. Daggers are pretty dang good. They, we will talk more about that later, but... daggers are pretty dang good. Javelin, alright. So we're gonna want to go into main menu, gear, equip Noctises. Yes, an icon legend can be viewed from that thing. I don't know what they're talking about. I've never used the icon legend. Alright, they gave us a spear, which I'm pretty sure Gladio is weak to. Yeah, you can see it with those increased damage numbers. Gladio is weak to spears. spears are an interesting weapon. They hit multiple times with each hit, and their combos are pretty good, but they're pretty dang slow. They're mostly used for single target damage, and I tend not to use them unless something is explicitly weak to spears. Or I'm being a little shit who likes to stay in the air. But we'll talk about air combat later. It's not really relevant at the moment. Alright, so we're gonna get into a magic tutorial. Yeah, so in combat, you have to equip spells on your weapon bar. And basically, spells are grenades. Spells are basically just grenades. So yeah, you hold down a circle, and the radius appears, and you let go of circle, and it explodes. All of the spells leave behind, like, effects in the area that also, without specific skills, do friendly fire. And they will fuck up your party. He's currently weak against fire. You can't warp strike while you have elemental stuff in your hands. That or certain weapons later on that are magical, you cannot use. You cannot warp strike at the very least with it in your hand. Yeah, it's going through wait mode. I prefer wait mode. Okay, so now it's showing us how to craft spells. So basically, from some stuff, you get... From some sources, you can get this magical energy. And with the magical energy, you pour it and items through Elemancy into this, so I will... you also have magic flasks that limit the amount of these magical grenades you can have, so we're gonna pour some ice in here, and if we had an item, we could put it in here to maybe give us an extra effect, like Venom Cast to poison an enemy. So, you know. There's all sorts of neat stuff like that. Oh, yeah, and you can equip it. You have to equip it to your menu, which is a somewhat awkward and cumbersome system. I didn't dodge fast enough there. Just, you know, I'm good like that. Oh, defeat Gladio. Yeah, I can do that. What is he weak to this time around? Daggers? Yay! Okay, so now we can actually talk about daggers, as a weapon. You know what? We'll talk about daggers later, because I feel like maybe this video is gonna be, dragging on a little. I don't really know how long I've been talking for, and the episode might be over already, and we're on to episode 2. I have doubts. I'm pretty sure it's not been that long. Since I started, but you never know. I'm really bad with time, and I'm mildly sure I set the PlayStation to record for an hour once I press that recording button. Alright, yeah, we're gonna talk about teamwork now. So you have companions in the game. Gladi over there is one of them. Gladiolus, Gladidaddy, if you will. Prompto is another. He's the twink over here. Games can tell us about Link Strike. Noctis's friends engage in combat automatically. You can also take control of them through skills you buy on the skill menu. If they are nearby when Noctis performs a parry or blindside using a sword, greatsword, or polearm. There are some with daggers, I think. I don't know how true that is. They may join in for a Link Strike. So, I will... Okay, so it didn't trigger there. Okay, so an interesting mechanic to note is that they do have to be within a certain distance. They do have to be within a certain distance of you to trigger the Link Strike. See, so that was not soon enough. The game, for some reason, went on without me doing it. Basically, you don't have to worry about purposefully triggering Link Strikes. There's an item that you can equip, an accessory later on, that makes Link Strike the distance that it takes to Link Strike way bigger. And so once you have that and you equip it to everybody, if you're worried about link strikes, stay close to your friends. But once you get that, just put them on your buddies and then just fucking go to town. Don't even worry about it. All of Noctis's friends have unique techniques that can perform at his command. And performing a technique depletes the tech bar, which gradually fills in battle. Have Prompto perform Piercer. I will be talking about a lot of these. So Piercer is a gunshot that pierces targets and damages their defense. So you'll see here, he'll shoot him. And then, oh yeah, also with techniques, if you do O, you do an interesting follow-up shot. Yeah, they talk about it there. If you press circle, you follow up with a special attack. Also, they're talking about the extension grid there, but I'll worry about it later. Alright, danger. Oh, fuck. Okay. So yeah, right there, he took all of my HP down. So the way that this game works is you basically have 2 HP bars. Think of it like in Bloodborne, how when you get hit, you technically have a bit of time to hit someone back and get your HP back. That's not really how this works, but it's a similar concept to start out with. Basically, you have an HP bar. You have your HP bar that works like you would expect it to. When you get hit, it goes down, you take damage, and you lose HP. When you take massive damage, when you take extremely large amount of damage at once, and when you're hit by demons, and when you're hit while you have 0 HP, so while you're in danger, your maximum hit points are depleted. And so you're not permanently, mind. Your maximum hit points slowly regenerate throughout the fight, extremely slowly, and they regenerate quickly outside of battle. It can also be healed by certain items and certain abilities in the game. When your maximum HP falls to 0, you die. The game's over. Also, while you're in danger, so when your HP falls to 0, your maximum HP slowly begins to run out. Now you may notice this gives you an incredibly long period of time with which to heal and therefore not die. That is correct. This game is very, very easy. If you stockpile items, you will never die. I almost guarantee you that. If you stockpile items and you don't go after any of the super bosses, you will never die. You may die once or twice. So and then your companions will come up and heal you, get you out of danger, and give you a small amount of HP occasionally. And occasionally you'll have to go up to them. Now, yeah, like this. You press square to rescue them and they're good. So yeah, that's how that works. They do not automatically recover. Yeah, I think Noctis automatically recovers if you take cover or what have you. So yeah, you rescued Prompto there. Also, you can have them use items from the item menu. So like, yeah, like this. So we will use elixirs, which are an item so potions restore half of your HP. So not your maximum HP. If your maximum HP is damaged, it won't restore, but it'll restore half of your current HP. Elixirs will completely restore your maximum HP and also your MP. So I'll use one Noctis, and as you saw there, all damage to me was healed, including permanent damage. Same for Prompto there. Yeah, potions and elixirs also lift a state of danger. It's actually absurd. Yeah, so that's a magic flask and some fire. Alright, so I think this is the last combat tutorial I'm gonna say. So yeah, we're gonna take a little look-see at our boy here. And we're gonna go greatsword, and you know what? Let's grab us some Thundar magic. Oh, there isn't any. Interesting. It looks like he's... Yeah, it looks like he is, weak to thunder magic, but as far as I could see, we don't have any thunder magic. No, we don't. We just have fire-based elemental attacks. Noctis. Yeah, you know what? Then I guess we're just gonna go ham with the greatsword. Oh, yeah, tech bar's ready. Actually, I want to do that so that we can reduce his defense. Ah, and if you press it too early, like I just did then, you won't do the follow-up attack. Oh no, I was wrong. The Piercer decreases their attack stat, not their defense stat. I apologize there. You'll notice by the side of his health, if you go back there, there was a little fist symbol in red, and that is the symbol for the strength debuff. That makes attacking less powerful. Oh god, I'm gonna need a drink soon. Oh! Alright. Well, that'll be the end of this episode right here. If it hasn't already ended, and if this isn't episode 2 yet, or episode 1 rather, because I think with the amount of tutorials we've done, I'm gonna edit this out. Not edit it out, but I'm gonna remove this from the main series and make it a sort of episode 0.5, so that people who don't really know the game can watch this and sort of understand the mechanics and will understand what I'm doing, while veteran players can, who want to see the game itself, or people who played before and understand the mechanics, can skip to episode 1 and just go at it. So yeah, that's all for the tutorials. There's a lot more to the game, but they covered the basics there. It's a pretty nice tutorial. It covers enough, I think. There's still a lot more that we're gonna have to go over, like move sets and not point warping. I don't remember what it's called. I think it's called like ultralight phasing or something, but there's a skill that you can take that allows you to phase at no MP cost, that if you have some skilled button presses. There's also royal arms, extra magic stuff that they didn't go over here that comes in near the end game. There's hunts, there's all sorts of stuff that we'll need to talk about and go over. But for now, this has been Kleinru playing Final Fantasy 15. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good day, huh?